Welcome to Press Pause Gaming. I'm David Goldberg, and I'm here with
Galvin, and this is Game Talk. Each week we do a different debate. We have split up the show. We used to do these long-ass ones, like 5 hours long.
They'd get bored. They'd start checking their phone. It's like watching a 3-hour
So we decided to split up the sections. So now, every bi-weekly, we're going to do the biggest game stories, and we're going to do what we've been playing, and we're gonna do a topic. So this week, I chose this. David picked last, we switch off until you guys start commenting. Once you guys start commenting and leaving what you guys want us to talk about and pick the debate, or if you're a Patreon.
If you pay us, we'll talk about it.
Whatever you want.
Anything,
You're like, who's hotter, Toad or Princess Peach?
Toad's not bad.
He's got that
mushroom.
dickhead.
I like mushrooms.
Juvenile humor. That's gonna win the internet. This week, the big debate that happened, again, Destiny. That's all Matt talks about. His shirt is Destiny. He's got Destiny shit everywhere. But anyway, this came up because so many people were mad that Destiny 2 was announced not to be 60 frames per second, but 30. So that got me thinking, like, is frames per second such a big deal? And going a little bit bigger on this, I'm opening this up. We're starting in the frame rate section. Then we're gonna go into, is graphical fidelity and graphics that important in games? You know, because I feel like those are two different topics, kind of. But let's start with frames per second. You know, back in the day, no one cared about frames per second, right? Like, you played Nintendo 64, no one knew about this stuff. It wasn't until I want to say, like, the Counter-Strike days, people really cared about frames per second. That's when it really got big, like OG Counter-Strike, because the faster it is, people would be like, I want to see the movement and hit, and I want it to be smooth, you know?
You might get a slight advantage by having a better...
Oh yeah, you do have a slight advantage by seeing it faster, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, do you notice the difference between higher frame rates?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I do. I don't think it's a placebo effect. I think I legitimately saw a difference.
Mm-hmm. I think with frame rate, I think it does matter, and especially a multiplayer game. That's where it matters. So like in a multiplayer game, when you do 30 versus 60, like if you play COD,
you see things happening.
It's faster.
A little faster.
Yeah. You can pinpoint things faster, you move faster. I mean, like, it's just a faster experience. And, like, so some people try to argue that the human eye can't see 60 frames or 120. That's bullshit. You can definitely see a difference between 60 frames per second and 30. It's 100% you can see it. Does it matter, though? I would say in multiplayer, in competitive, yes, it does. And is it cool when you can play a single-player game? Does it matter? Yes, but not as much. Horizon, I played the entire game. They could only hit 30. Those graphics were phenomenal. You know, like at 30 frames capped, a smooth 30 is still a smooth 30, and I had no complaints about the frame rate in that. Like, was there a time where you're like, this is chugging, this is a problem? Did you think that when playing Horizon?
No, the machines still came at you all the same, and
it was a smooth game.
Super smooth game. Super.
Destiny as well as 30, isn't that? Don't you think that's a good looking game?
Yep. That's not as pretty as
Horizon,
but still good looking game.
Good, but the movement is cool, right? You cool with the movement in Destiny? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think that primarily you want it in PvP, but I think it still would be cool to have it across the board. But the systems that we have now, the current gen ones, Xbox One and PS4, and even the PS4 Pro, not many of them run at a native 60. There's not a lot of them do. Most of even the 4K games run at 30, you know, like, or like some of them have unlocked frame rates, but they still run at like 40. You know, none of them really hit 60 besides like Battlefield 1, Titanfall 2, and COD's multiplayer, you know, but besides that, there's not a lot that actually hit that. It's very hard. And then when they do that, you have to, like, you know, bring down the graphics. Some of those games, like Titanfall 2 and Battlefield 1, did a great job of hitting 60 and not really hurting the visuals. Like, the textures look good, everything looks great in those games. But other games that have tried to achieve a 60 frames per second, they take a noticeable hit in resolution and graphics to achieve that, you know? So it's like, it's a balance of what you want. Do you want more high fidelity and textures, or do you want a faster frame rate? And most people opt to do 30 frames and then higher fidelity. In the future, maybe Scorpio or whatever comes next with PlayStation, we will be able to achieve maybe 60 and high fidelity, but that's yet to be seen. Now, moving from that discussion, frame rates, now, do graphics make the game? For example, like there's games like Uncharted where it's like almost like photorealistic, and then you have games that are like StarCraft or some of your favorites that are 2D or ugly, you know? Do you think that graphics make or enhance the game? Like, is that really important?
Do they matter? I was born in the 80s, so I've seen graphics drastically increased from 2D to 3D to whole square boobs Tomb Raider to like
Real boobs Tomb Raider. Boob technology has improved over the years.
Big time. Or even square hands in Final Fantasy.
Right.
So
everyone used to have 3
blocks.
fingers and it was like blocks. Now they have fingers. Yeah.
I think graphics are really important. There's different kinds of games, and some of them you need good graphics for. Like if Uncharted was like a blocky game.
Yeah, it'd be weird, right?
Could you imagine that? Just like
That'd
trying to jump as Nathan Drake just block to block. No, that would be a terrible game.
With graphics, video games under a genre that we know, it moves at such a rapid speed, it's almost insane. Like if you look at, like you said, Atari graphics or anything in the 80s, even what we were playing in the 90s to what we're playing now, like you compare the newest Uncharted to something that we played 10 years ago, it's fucking insane. Like the graphics are so good now. People are getting to that point where it's almost like photorealistic, like Nathan Drake animations on his face and like the weather effects. It's literally insane what we can do. However, having said that, is not every team can do that. As we know, games like movies, there's all different types of budgets, you know?
Right.
So you have AAA publishers, you have indie publishers, across the board, mid-tier, you have B studios, you have A studios, you have everything, right? And you have 100 different genres too. Like an Uncharted game, you would expect you want the graphics to be amazing. That's what they're known for, right? World of Warcraft has been popular for years, still popular to this day. It doesn't have great graphics.
They up the graphics a lot.
But it has a cool art style. There's a difference between art style and graphics. So that's what I'm saying is like where Uncharted is known for its graphics, something like StarCraft 2, StarCraft 1, Diablo. Blizzard's not known for graphics. Even Overwatch isn't the best looking game, you know? It has a great art style, right? But it's not the most polygons. It looks like a game that could have came out 3 years ago. It doesn't look like Uncharted level of fidelity, but Overwatch is a great game that people love. So I don't think that every game needs next-gen photorealistic graphics. Art style and I think a distinct look is more almost important than fidelity and graphics. If your game's cel-shaded, something like Jet Set Radio, like that's a unique look that only that game has. Or Splatoon, and those games have unique art styles. Or Breath of the Wild, Zelda. Those art styles are fantastic and fit the game. So I think as long as your art style fits your universe and it's well executed, I think that's almost more important than graphics. Is that saying I don't care about graphics? Not at all. I love seeing things progress. For example, recently in Injustice 2, the facial animation is insane. They look almost like human when they're emoting, when they're talking. It's a giant step from the first game to the second game. It's some of the best facial animation I've seen in a game. Like, it's insane. Like, they look like real faces talking. And I want to see more of that stuff. However, do I need to see that level of detail in, say, Mario? No, I don't.
It's not the graphics, but it's like the gameplay. Like, go back and play Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
And enjoy it. Understand that this game was made 20 years ago.
But anyway, I think that's a good place to wrap this up. So thanks for watching. That was Games Talk. If you hated that discussion, why don't you give us a better discussion for next time? Or if you loved it, why don't you leave us a comment and let us know. Like, subscribe. Also, this was Game Talk, and then we will see you again in 2 weeks. Stay tuned. We also have new shows coming up. We have Now Showing. We have Rewind with old reviews. We also have TV Talk now, where we talk about TV shows. And of some time, if David gets on into it, he will eventually, we're going to do retro game reviews. So,
my computer just broke.
Yeah, bear with them. So there we go. All those things are in the works. Subscribe to this channel and you won't miss a beat. Thanks for watching.